Hi everyone, I'm going to talk about astrology today. It's been a while since I've made an astrology video. I'm going to be making another video very soon about Saturn in Aquarius. So with this video though, I want to talk about something that I see discussed a lot online, and there seems to be a lot of misunderstandings or misconceptions about the issue of, sorry about the noise outside, there's construction going on, the misconception of signs placed in your astrology chart in dignity, otherwise known as home sign, and exaltation. Should I discuss the fall sign as well? I was really going to focus on dignity and exaltation for this video to keep the video fairly concise. If you're interested in me making a video about, you know, when a sign or placement is in fall, I could do that separately, but I really want to focus on this because I see, as I said, a lot of misconceptions about this online on forums and so forth. So I'm going to talk about just 3 placements: the Sun, the Moon, and Mars. Actually, the Sun, the Moon, Mars, maybe Venus if I have time, but we'll see. So to start with the Sun. So the Sun is exalted in the sign of Aries, and it is in its home sign in Leo. So what is the difference between the Sun in dignity in Leo and the Sun in exaltation in Aries? So some people sort of get a bit competitive about this notion, and they like, oh, mine's better, you know, and that sort of thing, which is a bit silly, because to sort of explain why, sure, it's great to have a Sun in Aries because you have an extra power in that. But if you have very difficult and harsh aspects to that Sun in Aries, that's going to really affect the power of that exaltation, that exalted position. So anyway, Sun in Aries, why is it exalted? Just to keep it simple. The Sun in Aries is exalted because it's in its most pure expression of identity, okay? So when you have a Sun in Aries, you are able to use your will, which is symbolized by the sign of Aries, and that fire energy in a way that is very pure, okay? In a way that is very clear. And when it comes to identity, one's personality, one's identity, it is favorable for you to be able to express your identity in a way that's very authentic and very real. And that is to your benefit, rather than feeling confused about yourself, or feeling uncertain, or feeling at the mercy of other people before you can express yourself. You know, there's less convoluted energy within one's identity, and there is more of a pure personal expression. So Aries is a very pure fire energy, a very pure element in a way, and you know, it is. Why is it better than Sun in Leo? And I use the term better very loosely there. It's, you know, I don't want to say one sign is better than another, but why does it express itself more? Well, why is it exalted? It's because Aries can express the self in a way that's very direct, very unself-conscious, and with clarity in its expression. Now, when it comes to Leo, that is also a wonderful expression of the Sun, and you know, the Sun rules the sign of Leo. Okay, so again, we have it in its home sign, otherwise known as dignity. Okay, Leo is very, very creative energy. Think about the Sun; it's the life force. Okay, Leo can express many different things about itself through the personality in a way that is very strong and very much like the Sun. You know, it's like the light expressed. Okay, again, you know, if you have a Leo Sun and you feel like you don't feel that way, check the aspects in your chart, because again, the aspects and also the house placement is very important. So if you have your Sun placed in Leo in a watery house, that's going to dampen down and cause some issues there with the purity of the self-expression. Okay, so always factor the other things in the chart, as I always tell people. But Leo's Sun is a wonderful placement, but Leo can suffer from a self-consciousness that Aries often does not have. You know, Aries is very direct, whereas Leo is direct, but it can suffer with a bruised ego that is quite sensitive in many ways, more easily, but it does like to challenge itself and be creative. So what you have is, in the differences, there is a difference of the expression of the sun's energy. Aries is much more of a direct energy, whereas Leo likes to be creative and create things that shine its own light. So they're both really amazing positions, but because Aries is much more of a direct sign and it is the sign of pure will, a person with Aries sun can express their will in a very clean way, in a very direct way, and go after what they want in a very direct manner. Okay, now it doesn't mean that your life is perfect because you have an Aries sun, but it just means that you have a strength that is to your advantage in life because of that. Okay, so with the moon, Dignity is Cancer, home sign, moon in Cancer, and Exaltation is the earthy Taurus. Now, why is the moon exalted in Taurus and not in Cancer? So I'll just explain. So Cancer rules the moon. It's very emotional. It's beautifully nurturing. It knows how to look after others and to sort of give this almost mothering, nurturing quality to other people, and create an environment that's very warm and homely and protective, and it is a very protective energy. So for the moon, which represents mother, nurturing, that kind of energy, Cancer moon has an innate knowing of how to do these things very naturally. The thing with Cancer moon, though, is it's much more emotional than Taurus moon. So with a Cancer moon, you are still riding some ups and downs emotionally, and quite moody as well you could be, because think about the moon, which Cancer, the sign of Cancer relates to the moon, is always changing and waxing and waning, and then it comes to fullness and then it becomes void, and there's always these changes. So that creates like a moody quality with the Cancer energy. And with Taurus, however, it's much more of a stabilizing energy. And people with Taurus moon, generally speaking, again, this is very general because I'm not factoring in aspects, difficult aspects or houses, but Taurus moon energy is very stable. It can be very, very stable. And, these people do have to learn that, though. Oftentimes, they don't come into life with that stability. They do have a serenity about them in some way deep within. They can be very peaceful. But they know or they are learning how to create a life that is very stable and an energy about them that is very peaceful. And they're very stoic as well in many ways. They might take a lot of knocks in life, but they don't react with so much emotion as much as a Cancer moon or another watery moon placement. They're able to maintain a stability emotionally when there's other things going on that might not be stable. So they have a way of being quite strong and quite stoic, and also creating this connection with beauty and abundance, and the Venus energy, which is a beauty about life. And they might have this sort of ability to bring this feeling of contentment from within themselves, because they're learning and they know how to sort of satisfy that part of themselves that craves a connection to something related to beauty and serenity and contentment and peace as well. So Taurus energy has a wisdom about it, the wisdom of the earth, of Mother Nature as well when it's with the moon. So there's a very stable energy with Taurus that is quite pure in a way, and Cancer moon is, home sign, but it is a bit more emotional, which makes it a little bit more difficult in comparing those two placements overall. I'll mention about Mars now. So Mars is in its home sign. This is more of the interesting one, I think, my personal opinion, but Mars is in its home sign in Aries, and it is exalted in Capricorn. So, excuse me, why is Mars, exalted in Capricorn and not in Aries? Why is it in its home sign in Aries? Well, obviously Mars rules Aries, and Mars in Aries is a pure force of fire, the pure will and the drive. And how we use the Mars energy is about going after what we want in life. And when you have Mars in Aries, you have this pure force within you, this fire, this passion, this intensity that burns very powerfully. Now, if you use that energy for the right things and to channel that in a way through like sports, martial arts, you know, whatever your passion is, you can use that energy to be very, very good at what you do, especially, you know, you've got to factor in the whole chart, as I always say. But Mars in Aries is a heroic fighter, that type of energy. It's pure fire, pure will. And it's a very, again, you know, Aries energy is a very pure, fiery will energy that is very determined and very strong and very heroic. The only thing about it is, in comparison to Mars in Capricorn, is it can burn out very quickly and it can react very quickly sometimes. So it is good in certain situations, like someone with Mars in Aries can be very heroic, and they can really come up to the level when there's a situation that is like do or die, or a survival situation, or a very difficult situation where other people would, you know, be terrified. A Mars in Aries will be very heroic. And, you know, they have that energy of saving the day, you know, in a sense. They can step up when they can have no fear to face an opponent, and the desire to win is super strong. So again, if you've got difficult aspects to your Mars, you need to factor all this in. You know, check the house of your Mars to see how it expresses itself. That's also very important. And you'll see the influence of the house, you know, playing out there as well. So Mars is a very, Mars in Aries is an energy of, you know, get knocked down, get back up, get knocked down, get back up, and keep on fighting, basically. It is like a survivor energy. And, you know, Mars is also in a good placement in Scorpio as well for you know, other reasons as well. It's very powerful in Scorpio too. But just to keep this simple, I'm just going to focus on Mars in Aries and Mars in Capricorn. So the only thing also that's a bit difficult with Mars in Aries is that there can be anger. There can be very intense anger and sometimes rage. So this also, because of the quickness of Aries and Mars in Aries, the anger reactions can come up very quick without much thought behind it, without much sort of foresight about consequences, and it can be very hard for the person to learn to control their impulses when it comes to anger, especially if there's difficult aspects from Uranus, Pluto, or, you know, Mars and the Moon, things like that, so in your personal chart. But you know, it's that desire to win that can keep the person going and push them on, but they can run out of patience sometimes and have to sort of pull themselves out of situations, or they can overreact and have too much of a strong reaction to things where there's like a minor irritation or their ego feels bruised. They can really overreact, and it can be a bit immature, because, you know, Aries is the first sign there, so it's, you know, whereas Capricorn's more mature, you see. So let's talk about Mars in Capricorn now. So Mars in Capricorn, exalted. This is a very powerful placement. People with Mars in Capricorn really can use that fire of Mars to put into very practical and tangible material side of life, to really grow and to really build on their life in a very tangible way, in a way that brings them this material advancement. And you always notice this with people with Mars in Capricorn, again, unless they have difficult placements, or unless they're very young and they haven't really gone into that yet, because Mars in Capricorn can take some time to really see over the person's life how they've developed that energy and how they use that energy. But there definitely is a desire to commit to things and to create this tangible result and building on things and constantly improving. And they can have that restlessness of Mars, but it's channeled into the physical realm, the Capricorn realm, of earning money, of business, of, you know, creating life in a very successful way. There is an ambition that is there, that is to have success and to build on that success, and they're never quite satisfied with being on one level. They have to keep pushing for more. The Mars energy keeps sort of compelling them to push for more and better and to improve. So say if they have their own business, they want to do very well with that. They won't be satisfied with, you know, a mediocre level of success. They want to keep going after more and more. And so the reason it's exalted is because it has the patience and the staying power to build over the course of their life and to constantly improve on that build, whatever that focus is, whatever that focus area is. Now, and whereas Mars in Aries can suffer from impatience and extreme anger reactions that cause themselves to sometimes, you know, that anger can come in very handy for Mars in Aries, don't get me wrong, but sometimes that anger can undermine them, and they can sort of lose the grip on creating the life that they want because they are caught up in the anger. So again, that Mars in Aries is very protective for an individual it can help them stand their ground and be very strong and protective for others as well. Very heroic, but and very masculine if it's in a man's chart. You know, a man with Mars in Aries is very masculine. He's very strong usually. They're not usually suffering from fear when it comes to physical things in particular. But Mars in Capricorn is more of the career and the world and their life as a whole and how they're going to progress in their life. So Mars in Capricorn, you'll see people building success over the course of their life, having the determination, the will, the patience, very hard-working energy. Again, you know, you've got to factor the whole chart, that if there's a lot of Pisces in that person's chart, that could undermine it, or it can make it that they only want to focus on creative things only, and they may not want to put that energy into, you know, just being financially stable. They might just be like, I only want to focus on my creative life and that's all I'm going to focus on. Not that that's a bad thing. Again, always factor the whole chart, but just keeping this simple. Mars in Capricorn will give the person the ability to progress and have success in the material world and in their life in a very real way, because they have more patience and they will not give up. Whereas Mars in Aries can be tempted to give up or pull back for a time if they get exhausted, because it's more of short bursts of energy, whereas with Mars in Aries. Whereas with Mars in Capricorn, it's more the long haul, and Capricorn being ruled by Saturn is time, so they see the big picture over the course of years, and they will save money and they will put the efforts in to see the rewards long term, whereas Mars in Aries can sometimes give up and start something new completely, which can sometimes over the long term not be a great thing. But then again, it is in its home sign, so it has a lot of benefits with it. And you know, people with Mars in Aries will usually have a very vigorous physical health, you know, very strong physical health, and they can take a lot of knocks in life and just keep coming back up again. Same with Mars in Scorpio as well. But Mars in Capricorn is really the long haul and the long term. So that was just a quick video that I wanted to make. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks guys, bye.